Thanks for tuning in. Today I'll be making rondo's or Amsterdammertjes, a variation of the gevulde koeken I made last year. Hi, I'm Toine, welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I focus on cooking foods from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies such as Indonesia. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you've figured out that us Dutchies really like almonds and almond paste in our baked goods. So today I'm going to make a tall cookie with a buttery crust that is filled with almond paste. To make almond paste, you will need 250 grams of skinned and blanched almonds, 250 grams of sugar, the zest of half a lemon, 1 egg, and half a teaspoon of almond extract. I didn't have time to prepare the almond paste in advance, that is why I'm adding almond extract, but I actually prefer it without it and letting it sit in the fridge for a day or two to really develop its flavor. I've already added the almonds and sugar to my food processor. Now I'm just going to add the lemon zest and half a teaspoon of almond extract. You definitely don't need a ton of this. This is very strong flavor. I'm now going to pulse this until it turns into a sand-like texture. Be careful not to over process it. You don't want this to turn into almond butter. Let's take a look, see if we are where we need to be. Oh no, I can tell there are still pretty big pieces of almonds left. I'm gonna go a little longer. Now this is what I'm looking for. It pretty much looks like sand. I'm going to add the egg. Now I'm going to process this until it binds together. It won't necessarily form a ball, but I'll show you what it looks like when it's at the right consistency. Okay, so I'm going to just use my spatula to kind of flip it all around. Make sure that everything has a chance to get incorporated with that egg. I'm going to pulse it a little longer. If you live in a really dry climate, you may have to add like a teaspoon of water if it doesn't come together. I'm able to just shape it into a solid mass. I dumped my ball out over some plastic wrap. Now I'm going to shape it together and cover it so it can sit in the fridge to develop flavor. To make the dough, you will need 300 grams of all-purpose flour, 180 grams of room temperature butter, 120 grams of superfine sugar, 1 egg yolk, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of milk, the zest of half a lemon, and 2 grams of salt. I'm going to start by mixing the baking powder through the flour, like this. And now I'm setting it aside until we need it. In the bowl of a stand mixer, I'm going to combine the butter, sugar, salt, and lemon zest. And using the paddle attachment, we're going to cream this together. The whole table is shaking. I'm going to scrape down the sides. I'm now going to add the milk and the egg. I'm going to mix this together until I see no more streaks of egg yolk. That's all combined. I'm just going to clean off the paddle into the bowl. I'm not adding the flour all at once. I'm just going to do 1 scoop at a time. On low so you don't end up wearing your flour. And just keep adding 1 scoop at a time until it's all combined. Just scraping down all the sides before adding the last little bit of flour. Now to see if it is truly done, you have to kind of knead it all together with your hands for just a little bit at the end. So I'm just scraping off everything from the paddle. And absolutely it comes together very nicely. Test a little bit of the dough and see if it comes together in a ball like this. If not, if it's too dry, add like a teaspoon of milk or water and mix that through. Now this is perfect, so I'm going to wrap it in some plastic wrap and let it rest in the fridge for an hour. To make the filling, you will need 300 grams of almond paste. It is slightly more than half of the amount we made earlier in the video. 1 egg yolk and 1 tablespoon of water. You can do this with a mixer or you can do it by hand. I'm going to do it by hand today. I'm going to start by just adding the water to the almond paste, and this is sticky. Just kind of mix it through. Going to add the egg yolk. Of course, my hands are impeccably clean. And now mixing that through just to make that almond paste even richer. Everything is combined. I'm going to wash my hands and then we're going to weigh this and divide it into 12 equal portions. Let's weigh the mixture. 318 grams. 318 divided by 12 is 26.5 grams. This scale doesn't do half grams, so I'm going to make 6 26 gram balls and 6 27 gram balls. Okay, let's start. 27. Wow, couldn't do that again if I tried. Just make sure that every time when you take the almond paste off the plate that the scale goes back to 0, because you may have to scrape off some excess. Here's all the divided up almond paste. I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap and put it in the fridge to firm up. If you're enjoying this video, please click the like and subscribe button. It will really help our channel. If you want YouTube to notify you whenever we post a new video, click the bell. The dough has rested in the fridge. I'm now going to weigh it. 625 grams, and I have to divide it by 12, so that makes approximately 52 grams per portion. So I'm going to start making one little ball, see how much it weighs. 49, so we're almost there. That's too much. 52. And now I'm just rolling them into a ball, putting them on a plate, and continue for the rest. You'd figured by now I'd be better at guessing how much is 52 grams. The last one is going to be a little shy. It's 51 grams instead of 52, but I think it will be okay. I'm going to put these back in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes just to firm them up a little bit before I start handling them again. I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius, and I'm now going to prepare my muffin pan. I melted a little bit of butter, so I'm going to just put some butter in each one of the little cavities. And I have a cookie sheet with some parchment paper because I'm going to add flour in a little bit and we're going to shake that off. And the cookie sheet with the parchment paper makes it easier to clean up when we're done. I'm going to just put a little bit of flour in each one as well, and then I'm going to shake it around to get it to stick to all the sides. Now tap it around, and I can see that this one doesn't actually have enough flour, so I'm going to just add some to that one. Okay, I've prepared my muffin tin, I've tapped out all the excess flour, and now it's time to assemble. I'm going to lightly dust my work surface with some flour, and I'm going to flatten one of the balls of dough and just roll it out a little bit, not too much. It's okay if it isn't a perfect circle. Roll up my almond paste, and now we are going to wrap the dough around it and pinch it close. That's the nice thing about this dough. Even if it crumbles a little bit, it's so easy to just pinch close any of the cracks and fix it up. With the seam down, I'm going to put it inside of my muffin tin, and I'm going to continue this for the rest of them. So you want to roll this out until it's large enough that it can wrap all the way around the almond paste. I'm using an offset spatula to just kind of help wrap it around the almond paste. And as you can see, every one I've done so far is crackling or cracking a little bit, but that's okay because using the warmth of my hand, I can very easily put it back together. Here they are. And now I'm going to use a glass to push them in because you want them to have a flat top. Just going to push it in. You just want to push it down so that it fills the cavity completely. And the little cracks, again, once you're done with the glass, with your fingers, you can very easily patch those. So this one needs a little patching. Patching them where necessary. And now I'm going to get some almonds to put on here. I'm going to push a single almond in the center of each one of them to finish them, make them look pretty. And then I'm going to make some egg wash with 1 egg yolk and a teaspoon of milk. And I'll brush it on all of them. Give them a quick brush with your egg wash over the almond and everything, because you want the almond to be shiny just like the dough. Okay, last one. These are now going into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes until they're nice golden brown. Since our oven does have some hot spots, at the 10-minute mark I'm going to just rotate the pan. Time to take them out. It'll look great. I'm going to let them cool on the rack for 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to take them out of the muffin tin and let them cool completely. Here are my cooled Rondo's or Amsterdammertjes. And I'm going to just cut one open. You can see the almond paste in the middle, the cookie around it. Let's have a bite. Eet Smakelijk. Such a great cookie. The crust is nice and buttery, slightly crumbly, and then on the inside you have that rich almond paste. Absolutely delicious. As a kid, I loved Gevulde koeken, but I always thought that this had way more almond paste in it, so I preferred these. However, now that I've made them myself, there isn't that much difference. They're just, you know, in a bowl rather than spread out, but these are great. They are very rich though, so I typically will cut it in half and eat half with my first cup of coffee and then the other half with the second. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button and don't forget to share it with your friends. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. You can find the recipe on my website, toineskitchen.com, and you can follow me on social media as well. If you make this recipe, I would love it if you can take a photo and post it on Instagram with the hashtag ToinesKitchen. I will feature it in my story and on my website. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.